Okay, so the next scene takes place in Tennessee. The main character has made it to Tennessee. He just arrived in Tennessee. Um, he actually, while when he gets to Tennessee, he actually goes to a restaurant. And there is like a family owned restaurant with a black and white couple that are in their early 60s. They own the restaurant. When he gets there, he sees coffee drinkers and things of that nature. So the couple greets him and they give him a menu. And he opens up his laptop and he starts to pull out some of the information, some papers and stuff that was given to him. So the main character starts to read the headlines in Tennessee, and he sees that the headlines talk about sex trafficked girls, that the city is having a problem with girls that are being sex trafficked over possibly over involvements with real estate owners and stuff. And so he starts to read up on the sex trafficking issue in Tennessee. And he takes his time, he does research, and then he starts to notice that one of the Asian guys that he's seen in Baltimore is actually some kind of governmental official. And he's in disbelief that a governmental official is actually taking part in these sex trafficking schemes or whatever. And so he he sits there and he researches and he starts to look at some of the homes that are that he's going to be owning that are being sold to him. And he looks on his computer and he looks at all the homes that are being sold to him, and he starts to research the histories of the homes and then he starts to check his bank accounts, and he sees that his deposit of $1 million has been made, and he's very, very excited because now he has the money, some of the money to get the process started of buying the homes. And so he's very, very happy. During the restaurant scene, a sit-in takes place where there are some college students that come to the restaurant, and they're actually they're kind of like Black Lives Matter kind of protesters. And the Black Lives Matter protesters are black and white and all different kind of nationalities. So they come into the restaurant and they after doing like a rally or whatever, and they just got done rallying, and they take a seat. All of the protesters kind of take a seat, and they sit in the restaurant for a few minutes, maybe, buy something to drink, and then they depart. Well, two of the protesters from the Black Lives Matter organization actually stays behind, and the two actually take a seat in a booth. And the two protesters are a white male and a black female, and they're college students. And so they take a seat in the booth, and then the conversation kind of shifts. They start to whisper about issues that they're having about pregnancy. And the African American girl is kind of disputing with the white male about the pregnancy. And she's talking to him about being pregnant, being 2 months along by him, and they're expecting a child. And the white man is trying to persuade her to keep the baby, telling her that the two should abandon their family lives and raise a child, that they're in love. And the African American girl is like, well, we come from different backgrounds. Your father is a supremacist and my family is pro-black. And it's bad enough that people don't know that your father is a supremacist. And he says, well, the white male says, I don't care, if people know that my father is a supremacist. I believe that Black Lives Matter and I believe in equality. And she's like, well, I understand that, but I don't know if we should have a child together at this time. And he really objects. Like, he's really, really angry with her. And he's like, this is what life is about. And this is what love is about. And as long as we love each other, it should not matter if we're black, white, or any race. And she says, yes, I understand, but what if, this causes a big stir in your family tree? Your father is a supremacist, and, the mixing of races are almost forbidden. And he tells her that he will actually leave his home and leave his father. He will leave his father's home and be disowned and raise his child. And he asks her to please believe and trust him, to please trust him and understand that having this child means more than anything to him, that he's willing to do anything he can to raise his child. And then suddenly he pulls out a wedding ring and an engagement ring, and he asks her if she would consider marrying him. And so then the mood of the African American girl, who was very objective to having the baby, it kind of changes. And she went from like a frown or a sorrowfulness to like happiness, like an instant happiness that came across her face. And and she's looking at him in disbelief and saying, you really are going to abandon your family and your father? You're really going to forsake him for me, and you're going to really marry me? Are you really sure you want to do this? And he says, yes, I'm really sure that I want to do this. And if you want to secretly marry before the baby's born, we can. And she says, I would love to secretly marry. I would love to marry. And he tells her, then marriage it is. And we will be married before the baby is born. And then, he gives her a hug and a kiss, and they go back to the protest of the Black Lives Matter. And so after that scene, it goes back to the main character, who is still researching the homes. And he is actually on the phone with the Asian gang, and he's asking them, are they ready to initiate the transfer? And the Asian gang says, whenever you are. Well, not the Asian gang, but the men in the gang. Basically, the government official. And he says, are you sure once I transfer this $1 million, are you going to free all the girls? And he said, all the girls are yours once I receive my $1 million. And the properties can be transferred to you. And then we will set up some kind of agreement where you pay me the rest of the money for the properties, and you'll be sky-free. And so he says, well, how am I going to get all these girls, all the girls that you have sex trafficked? And he tells them that once the transfer goes through, he'll release the girls and to him. So he says, he tells the Asian government official, if I release this money to you and you don't release the girls and you don't release the properties, I'll come after you. I'll come after you and your families. And he says, don't worry, I'm going to release the girls to you. And so he hangs up the phone and he does the wire transfer and he transfers all the money. And then after he transfers the money, I guess the scene ends there. I'll let the scene end there.